no ye betwi mu a sa e-levy no movement share bo se ye ne ba ya ke be ye firi ho National Democratic Congress so share bo se on be ye firi ho o man pani we di ona wo so nya afa ne ye be ye ne na budget ye be ba middle of March won yin firi betting tax no boys this wo mutwa o mo brasa no mo di on claim firi and import duty 2% bi she hono ni nyina no o man pani ye ne wo wie se ifiri ho ba esa so nya nya budget nti we nyina ye yesusu se mo ye de ma no da me ya adum no de hyemu a ye be sa afre ma mo ba ha ya be bona ba so wa fa hyemu so a de ode be ba no ye be sa ba ha ya be de ya ba be discuss
by Ignatius say yes we are reconfirming or confirming our proposal to Ghanaians in the country say yeah by be in the free so the money we live 1% now we show 1% so we share revenue 2023 that's the data available is a levy MI just about 1.1 billion Ghana cedis and I propose say gap na e dey be ban yemfa VAT in 315 and go 17 that's VAT in so 2023 MI 14.4 billion cedis until see we levy ni free now the VAT ne ba ubenya additional revenue na there say yeti ase dey say so hwe mu a man for ho chire ye nyina ho chire because eto no ebi wo mu a regressive in economics in the become and I say o the bar emboa oman no and development because one ultimate dodo he say omo etua na kakra bi then am say VAT consumption tax ni jeje no enye den eti say we introduce levy bia operation conformity bypass the payment. Secondly, so we mun so a ye can say samamu no amanfo benya gidie wo president bi mu a je say obosha wo share utimi diso etie de wo firm convention say omapani tie ni edim say rawa to pamphlet in the clear on vet say obi live free ebebo ade to so gap na wo kan e betimi afele with your strategic review of the tax system and our tax regime my own. Economic rate be nuisance tax, we can't kind. And yet you live in co. To be real or hard, for the bar, M1 or minor productivity. It is only if you not the way bar to say bar, Lady Jeno, and yet and also the incident that is in Crawford and Bewo almost because the one called baby, ye give out a cotadia, and I send the Suluka and in my real tear grassy. No mobile money or yebi or ya no atin but I go baby ye divert na kota dey na I say onya impact of that be have it here the gidi say we live in Fuma you lose about 1.1 billion now the VAT you gain almost 2 billion just all you won crowd we nya more revenue now there are other things they say be no be say betting actually more the revenue for any the gain na you propose the
Parliament na National Democratic Congress enya nipa dopo na ne NPP nya nipa kuma bi wo no da ye free se power na ba ko je NDC for sem enu ti no on betimi de digma yi na se ya ko die sa enkwada agro no edoso enu ti movement for change for se parliamentarians etiase se omunyo te sempre ni fo do mako so ko pa ko ya mo man no akona ni yes de bia ye kwa mi kwa ko mu na anything atoso mi no movement for change say ya da man pani do mama se o ka so be fa nipa eduasia 60 as ministers are so far no ye di nyina kire se nipa 60 no obetumi afa sans wa boni pa 56 di sans ye de se wo de kokora ne mebunu abomu a omu ye adwuma ye ka cho mampani John Mahama ene na pamfo ne se nyese de maamo ye ka kire mu se mu nkodi e mo mo ko se sika ye de be hye mo nsa ne o ma ne japade ni abo de be ye adwuma na abo ma na obra na ma ohia etu afiri o man mu ye meburu a enya school papa nkono omo ya e de o mafu eto for man sana o matwe no omo so enya so mfa so movement for change say ade a eye ye chiwade kora ne keta se kro no a adokore na yehu se OSP and as office of the special prosecutor special prosecutor na kasa ahyase etu anamon bia o pese odi hu duma ya ne ensusue mu no se de ye campaign ye ka kire mu amantie enso still enim se da chi mbeti ya de ase ye de ade bia fe na corruptions a wono no won show bia so wotumi a ohun secretary hye bi ebon ho a wotam ho a no won adu asem fast tieni bi so mampani ye ko ye nimu no obehe so yesa so ahye OSP say enya mba e die wonu mo a watu nsafre oro eye owura kenofori ata no ene wo mo akeka ho nyina no wo momode answer sansem ye be ye free because Ghana sike bi ayira ma yentumi ngisa no action no talk ye kasanko ano mu bense eye chiwade ebio constitutional reforms wo be kaya ya ka kire mo se ye mra bona edidi duma no chima bi wo ho editi esa kayo mampani ye nyina ya we se wati amedeku a wo so mu nkohwem ena no ora Professor Mills by TV ebi na $6.3 million for Agosiaga ora kufu adu bae ono so be TV 3 million Ghana cedis Agosiaga emprempre de ye mpese ye betese we nu mo so aba no ekoye committee ya mfa anya aduma bia movement say ye pese ye muso mu bia omudumadi no ebetumi aboa ama constitutional reforms no aba bedu economy ne so no movement asesha nyoma kama ye die tutu no ema owura Mahama obekaya owini na the election no movement ye penny owura lanchemate bo anan ekochia no okwa one consider position and one surrender dem mo ko jare the great transformational plan die ti o this great transformational plan no ko share inside say emu na nsem de no be bia Ghana ye takela ye mfa ye ho nko IMF mu bio edie wuntia no movement na kirem se sika ebeba ne nsem no onfa nko hye mia bia bi ti se agriculture nyuma enfididuma ene de keka ho de be manuane nyuma ayede aba na importer ana se nyoma dodo ye crafty amano de ba emma yesidi no enya ahode no eso ayede atumi eka movement is also aka se ora kenofori atare na ba ko fa de bia na ye frɛ compound calculation of VAT mo amoye business de munim say ye di NHI esa akoka gross ho ni aka bo ma say ya be apply VAT no enu na ema port ko kwantu nwi enyu obo mi oma e okromu a movement say o man no ora Mahama no pamfo yesra o muntwa sa di na be ya VAT na ye 15% mo ya nya ni 17% na ye nyim free NHI no eho say ye be ya di pa ho be dey ebe anya na mo ye maintain this 3% flat rate na ye de ediduma no de kura movement say galamsey mo aye monim sem ye koto aba na no ade ba ko a e ma Ghana for to aba do na ma ura Mahama eye yensu a ye se ye sase a ye se no obo ba ye hu se o tu nwa na mo me ma no me ye se anofafa ye hwe nanim esan se ye no wan ko galamsey a movement di be gina ye na so na yakko na amagana for enwato I don't know we ani abon tofa I nim se mokwa sa na mbeka ho won fa bi nkan ya be get questions are free 84
be that as it may, the nature of hostilities and rancorous conduct that has so far characterized parliamentary proceedings, including but not limited to the vetting of political appointees, must be a source of concern for all those who have a genuine interest in safeguarding our democratic credentials. While it is expected that the minority in parliament, led by the MPP, will hold the majority by extension, the ruling government to account, which to a large extent they seem to be doing with some admiration, it is important that they do so without grandstanding and a disruptive posture. Democracy is not all about disagreement. It is essentially about agreeing to disagree. The majority, on the other hand, must exercise their superpower with discretion
and demonstrate full commitment to the principles of accountability and transparency. 2, on appointments to key positions in government and the public sector, the president must be commended for living up to his commitment to establish a new government. Reducing the number of ministerial appointments to a maximum of 60 is without doubt a significant policy shift and a potential game changer, particularly in terms of its signaling effect and impact. The reduction in number of ministries and consolidation of same must result in further cuts in public expenditure. In addition, the quality of appointments made so far, to a large extent, demonstrates a commitment to infuse new energy, dynamism, efficiency, and innovation in government business. The era of Team B seems to be over. Our hope, though, is for the new appointments not to be obsessed with the trappings and arrogance of power, which will consign them to the same fate as faced by some of their predecessors. It is also worth mentioning that the delicate balance of maintaining both regional and gender balance in the appointment has to a large extent been achieved, albeit with room for further improvement. Furthermore, the speed with which the appointments have been made from a historical context is worthy of commendation. 3, corruption. The culture of corruption is without doubt one of the significant challenges confronting our nation. All governments in our recent history as a nation have spoken with fervor about stamping out corruption. And yet, as a people, we have made very little progress in dealing substantively with the problem of corruption. It is against this background that we must evaluate the efforts by the current government in combating the scourge of corruption by first establishing the oral team. This, coupled with the recent pronouncements and actions of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, may seem to be a new aggressive approach towards dealing with corruption. The cases currently being investigated by the OSP, including the ones affecting the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofriatta, have been in the public domain for some time now. The move by the OSP will offer the said political appointees an opportunity to defend and acquit themselves using due process or face the full rigors of the law. The tendencies for the acts or omissions of selected officials to be used as a smear campaign against all politicians must be frowned upon. In spite of these early efforts by government and the OSP referred to above, aimed at dealing with corruption, one would caution that in order not to fall into the same pit as previous governments, which has led to a NATO paradigm in Ghana, on tackling corruption. And NATO simply means no action, talk only. It is the considered opinion of the Movement for Change that a more comprehensive, robust, and institutionalized approach to dealing with corruption must be adopted. As indicated in the Great Transformational Plan (GT) of the Movement for Change, there are 6 practical policy measures that must be considered in tackling corruption. 1. Creation of an anti-corruption czar or Caesar with full constitutional backing. Under the current system where the Office of the Special Prosecutor is established by law, but lacks constitutional backing, political influence can hinder the anti-corruption efforts of the OSP. In this regard, the GTP proposes the establishment of an independent anti-corruption czar with prosecutorial powers protected under the Constitution and separate from the powers granted to the Attorney General by the Constitution. This office would therefore replace the current Special Prosecutor's establishment and be truly immune from political interference. As an independent constitutional body, such an office must be fully resourced, taking into consideration the amount of money that can be saved as a result of the work of the Anti-Corruption Czar. 2. A unified and strengthened Anti-Corruption Act. The GTP proposes the consolidation of all existing anti-corruption related legislation into one comprehensive enabling legal framework to deal with corruption, and that will define without ambiguity the nature, scope, and content of all corruption and corruption-related activities, and also ensure that very stringent and non-negotiable penalties are prescribed for political appointees and other political sector officials and civil servants who are cited and indicted for corruption. Currently, various bodies and institutions, by their instruments of establishment, lay claim to having legal powers to investigate cases of corruption. These include the OSP, the OCO, Shiraj, the Police Service, CID, and the National Security. Everybody's work is nobody's work. 3. Compulsory asset declaration and lifestyle audits. Political officials, and not just political appointees, would be required by law to undergo periodic thorough asset declarations with real-time lifestyle audits to track unexplained wealth. 4. Transparent procurement systems. The GTP proposes reforms in procurement laws to eliminate the incidence of collusion, political patronage, and cronyism, ensuring that contracts are awarded on merit and not based on political or other considerations. 5. Empowering citizens and civil society to be watchdogs against corruption. The GTP proposes the introduction of an anti-corruption citizen charter, legally mandating whistleblower protection and incentivizing citizens to report acts of corruption. It also proposes incentives and other forms of support to civil society organizations in enhancing advocacy against corruption. These measures would ensure that no government official or political appointee, regardless of their status, would be able to use the color of their office to manipulate the government machinery and political system for good gain, for personal gain. Now, the fourth issue is constitutional reforms. The lack of progress in implementing constitutional reforms, which have been extensively debated by various sections of the Ghanaian society, is an indictment on all previous governments. It is refreshing to note that the president has very early on in his administration empaneled a committee of very distinguished personalities, many of them known for their passion and commitment to the reform process. And equally important are recognized for their professional integrity and independence of thought. It is our fervent hope that their recommendations will not be buried within the corridors of power. It is worth noting that the GTP of the movement contains a comprehensive set of proposals for constitutional reform, including but not limited to establishment of a government of national unity and the establishment of a second chamber of parliament, all with a view to promoting a more inclusive and decentralized governance architecture. Now, fifth is the economy. The Minister for Finance has indicated that he proposes to present the 2025 budget statement and government's economic policy by the middle of March, whilst commending the minister for his efforts to meet the constitutional requirement of representing the budget before the 31st of March. The movement would like, among other things, to advise as follows. 1. The ministry must undertake a complete overhaul of the architecture of the national budget, focusing first on ensuring macroeconomic stability, anchored on the 2 pillars of fiscal consolidation and tight monetary policies, working in consultation with the Bank of Ghana. Duties, levies, and charges at the post with a view to reducing same, which will be an incentive for enhanced compliance in the payment of duties and also contribute to a reduction in the level of imported inflation, since Ghana is still highly import-dependent economy. It is worth noting that the GTP has some detailed policy recommendations on all the proposals outlined above. The 6th point is on galamsey and the protection of the environment. Government is yet to demonstrate with clarity its policy recommendations on dealing with galamsey. This is a source of great concern, considering the fact that Galamsey poses an existential threat not only to the environment, particularly our water bodies and forest reserves, but indeed also to the efficient and effective management of the country's natural resources. Again, the GTP has a comprehensive policy blueprint on this matter. It is time for action, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope that the issues raised in this press conference and the solutions proposed will go a long way to support government's resetting agenda. Ghana first. Ghana will definitely rise again. Thank you, and God bless you.